A New York divorce lawyer died and arrived at the pearly gates. St. Peter asks him, "What have you done to merit entrance into heaven?" The lawyer thought a moment, then said, "A week ago, I gave a quarter to a homeless person on the street." St. Peter asked Gabriel to check this out in the record, and after a moment, Gabriel affirmed that this was true. St. Peter said, "Well, that's fine, but it's not really quite enough to get you into heaven." The lawyer said, "Wait, there's more. 3 years ago, I also gave a homeless person a quarter." St. Peter nodded to Gabriel, who after a moment nodded back, affirming this too had been verified. St. Peter then whispered to Gabriel, "Well, what do you suggest we do with this fellow?" Gabriel gave the lawyer a sidelong glance, then said to St. Peter, "Let's give him back his 50 cents and tell him to go to hell." A woman went on vacation, leaving her husband behind. Before she left, she told him to take extra special care of her beloved cat. The next day, she called her husband and asked if the cat was all right. Her husband said the cat just died. She burst into tears and said, "How could you be so blunt? Why couldn't you have broken the news gradually? Today, you could have said that it was playing on the roof. Tomorrow, you could have said that it fell off and had broken its leg. Then on the third day, you could have said that the poor thing had passed away in the night. You could have been more sensitive about the whole thing." The wife continued, "By the way, how is my mom?" The husband paused for a moment, then said, "She's playing on the roof." A guy decides to buy his new girlfriend a pair of gloves for Christmas. After all, they've only been dating for 3 weeks, so it seems like the ideal gift. Romantic, yet not too personal. He asks the girlfriend's younger sister to accompany him to buy them, so she can point out a pair she'd like. They go to the mall, and the sister points out a pair of white gloves, which the guy then buys. The sister then picks up a pair of panties for herself and buys them. But during the wrapping, the clerk mixes up the parcels without anyone realizing it. As a result, the sister gets the gloves, and the guy takes home a gift box containing the panties. Without checking, the guy rushes the gift to his sweetheart, but only after drafting this loving and helpful note to accompany it. The note says, "To my dearest, I chose these because I noticed you are not in the habit of wearing any when we go out in the evening. If it had not been for your sister, I would have chosen the long ones with the buttons, but she wears the short ones that are easier to remove. These are a delicate shade, but the lady I bought them from showed me a pair she'd been wearing for the last 3 weeks, and they were hardly soiled. I had her try yours on for me, and she looked really smart. I wish I was there to put them on for you the first time. There's no doubt other hands will come in contact with them before I have a chance to see you again. When you take them off, remember to blow in them before putting them away, as they will naturally be a little damp from wearing. Just think how many times I will kiss them during the coming year. I hope you will wear them for the coming Christmas Eve. P.S. The latest style is to wear them folded down with a little fur showing." One day at a bus stop, there was a girl who was wearing a skin-tight mini skirt. When the bus arrived and it was her turn to get on, she realized that her skirt was so tight that she couldn't get her foot high enough to reach the step. Thinking it would give her enough slack to raise her leg, she reached behind and unzipped her skirt a little. She still could not reach the step. Embarrassed, she reached back once again to unzip it a little more. Still, she couldn't reach the step. So, with her skirt zipper halfway down, she reached back and unzipped her skirt all the way. Thinking that she could get on the step now, she lifted up her leg only to realize that she still couldn't reach the step. So, seeing how embarrassed the girl was, the man standing behind her put his hands around her waist and lifted her up onto the first step of the bus. The girl turned around furiously and said, "How dare you touch my body that way? I don't even know you." Shocked, the man says, "Well, ma'am, after you reached around and unzipped my fly 3 times, I kind of figured that we were friends." The wise old Mother Superior was dying. The nuns gathered around her bed, trying to make her comfortable. They gave her some warm milk to drink, but she refused it. Then one nun took the glass back to the kitchen. Remembering a bottle of Irish whiskey received as a gift the previous Christmas, she opened and poured a generous amount into the warm milk. Back at Mother Superior's bed, she held the glass to her lips. Mother Superior drank a little, then a little more. Before they knew it, she had drunk the whole glass down to the last drop. "Mother," the nuns pleaded, "please give us some wisdom before you die." She raised herself up in bed and with a curious look on her face said, "Don't sell that cow." 3 men died on Christmas Eve and were met by St. Peter at the pearly gates. "In honor of this holy season," St. Peter said, "you must each possess something that symbolizes Christmas to get into heaven." The first man fumbled through his pockets and pulled out a lighter. He flicked it on. "It represents a candle," he said. "You may pass through the pearly gates," St. Peter said. The second man reached into his pocket and pulled out a set of keys. He jingled them and said, "They're bells." St. Peter nodded. "You may pass through the pearly gates." The third man started searching desperately through his pockets and finally pulled out a pair of skimpy panties. St. Peter looked at the man with a raised eyebrow and asked, "And just what exactly do those symbolize?" The man grinned. "These are carols." A guy comes home completely drunk one night. He lurches through the door and is met by his scowling wife, who is most definitely not happy. "Where the heck have you been all night?" she demands. "At this new bar," he says. "The Golden Saloon. Everything there is golden. It's got huge golden doors, a golden floor, and even the urinal's gold." The wife still doesn't believe his story, and the next day checks the phone book, finding a place across town called the Golden Saloon. She calls up the place to check her husband's story. "Is this the Golden Saloon?" she asks when the bartender answers the phone. "Yes, it is," the bartender answers. "Do you have huge golden doors?" "Sure do," he replies. "Do you have golden floors?" the wife asks. "Most certainly do," he assures her. "What about golden urinals?" she queried skeptically. There's a long pause, then the woman hears the bartender yelling, "Hey, Duke, I think I got a lead on the guy that pissed in your saxophone last night." A loaded minivan pulled into a campsite. 4 children leapt out and feverishly unloaded gear. The boys gathered firewood while the girls set up the stove and tent. The kids worked feverishly. A neighboring camper marveled at the youngster's father. "That's an impressive display of teamwork. How do you manage them?" The father replied, "Easy. We have a system. No one gets their iPhone back until camp is set up.